So myself, Annie Jost, community outreach team of ZenOnco.io and Love Heals Cancer. Today, we have a Sun Living session on spirituality, ESP, positivity in cancer with Neerja Malik. She is a counselor and inspirational speaker. And also she is a global ambassador and author of the book called I Inspire. She likes to call her conqueror rather than a survivor. She started the Apollo Cancer Support Group on 8th March 2004 and inaugurated the Pollachi Cancer Support Group on 2nd February 2018. Her vast experience as a social worker and a teacher in various schools honed her skills and prepared her to achieve what she always wanted to do. She has been counseling patients with cancer and their family members and caregivers for 21 years with unburdened passion and dedication. In this regard, she was invited by the Department of State, USA, to participate in the first ever International Visitors Leadership Program in breast cancer in October 2008. She has discovered that she leads by example because she firmly states, I can do it, so can you. Welcome, Neerja ma'am, for today's session.
So to this wonderful audience that is here with us, I am so happy to be here. And at the beginning, I would like to say that the divinity in me bows down to the divinity in all of you. Now, you would wonder, what has spirituality, what has ESP got to do with cancer? And I find that in my life, there have been a lot of, spaces where spirituality has helped me overcome my adversities. ESP has made me aware of what is happening in the future or what could happen in the past. It is such a beautiful thing. And when does that come? That comes when you think that cancer is just a word. Nothing more, nothing less. You don't get frightened by it, as you wouldn't be if someone spoke about a fan or a cell phone. You become courageous, you are brave, and you do not fight it. What you decide to do is that you will take one day at a time. P is the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. These are the four things that one person is made of. And we have to take care of all these four aspects. So when people talk about well-being, it is a wonderful combination, a collection of your health in all these different aspects. And I think that that person who has all these intermingled, balanced, and harmonious is able to face not only life, Annie, but anything that comes their way. And that, I feel, is absolutely wonderful. So you would say, spirituality, how can that help you? And I'll give you a couple of examples in my life. So to cut everything short, I've done my graduation in social work, after which I've done my B.Ed, and I worked at schools as a social worker and as a fourth standard class teacher also. I've done a lot of work in the field of education. But guess what God thought? God said, okay, here's someone who's very friendly. She's been through a lot of ups and downs in life. She's broken a lot of bones. She's woken up, come up like a phoenix from the ashes. So let me give her a lot of experiences in the University of Life. So after marriage, I had a lot of miscarriages. I had a stillborn in the 8th month. Then I had twins who were 2 months and 5 days premature. Then I got cancer twice, many surgeries, and 2018, I went through septicemia 3 times. And you look at me and say, are you kidding? And I'll tell you what has helped me come through all this with a smile. because I have full faith in God, in Guru, in my family, in my community, and most of all, in myself. So I was talking about spirituality. When I had this mishap, a stillborn in the 8th month, it can be a very shattering experience. And yes, it was. I mean, you have nurtured a child, a soul, a being who has its own heartbeat within yourself, your womb, for 8 months. And then suddenly to be told that the child is no more. So how did I get to know that? The baby used to kick every day, 6 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and again 6 in the evening. It was like, a timetable. So one day I was asleep at 6 in the morning. I didn't feel it. Then I had some people over for lunch, so I wasn't aware of what happened at 1. And then at 6 o'clock, I realized that, oh my God, there's no kicking. And that's when I alerted my mother, alerted the doctor, and he said this. He said, in the 8th month, the fetus rests. So you don't have to, feel that anything is wrong. I suggest that, let's wait for a couple of days. But the mother's instinct is that she knows that what or who she's carrying within her is all well, or is it not well? So I said, Doc, I would really like to come over and get a checkup. I went to the hospital, and, nowadays they put you into one room and they finish. And plus mine was not an emergency. So I think by the time he actually came to see me, it was 11 at night. He'd finished with all the patients. And then guess what? They got the little fetal heartbeat machine. No fetal heartbeat. He got the sonography machine. Absolutely nothing. Void. Silence. Deadly silence. And then my mother and I could make out from the look on his face that the baby is no more. So then I was rushed to the hospital, and my mother told him, please induce labor. Don't do a cesarean because she'll have nothing to look forward to. The surgery will be, very painful. So he agreed, and that is what happened. I went into labor. The baby was removed. I held the baby in my arms. My mother and I were the only ones who saw the baby. And the baby was taken away. And I was left alone, looking out the window. My husband, my mother-in-law, and my father-in-law took the child and went away. And I wept. Because yes, there is despair, there is sadness. I wept. The tears just flowed. It was not a hysterical kind of a filming motion. It was a very authentic sadness. And while I was looking out, thankfully, at nature, there were birds. The breeze was blowing. The leaves were dancing. And yes, life goes on. And suddenly a thought occurred to me that these 8 months were the most beautiful months of my existence. I was really very happy because I was in constant communion with this little soul. And so I started breathing easy. And you know what the next thought was, Annie? That yes, these were the best 8 months of my life, because I was nurturing the one with music, with words of love, and nourishing the child from within. And then the next thought. And this is what I mean by spirituality. We belong to a nation where we believe that you go through the cycle of life and death, rebirth, till you are as divine as God or the supreme being or whatever you believe in. And then the thought occurred to me. What a beautiful thought, that I am so lucky. This child had only 8 months to live as a human being within me. And that feeling just overtook my whole being. I am so lucky that I was the chosen one within whom this fetus, this soul, lived for 8 months. And now it is out, it is liberated, and it has come to peace with the Lord above. Now that changed my thinking. Because Annie, I could have been a very bitter person. I could have been very upset. And being upset, I could have upset my whole family. You know what vibrations are? I believe very much in vibrations. Everyone is feeling for you. They're hurting for you. Imagine what my family went through. But if you change your perception, you cannot change what has happened to you. But what can you change? You can change your perception as to how you look at that. So I looked at it that these were the best 8 months of my life. I looked at it that from this land of spirituality, I feel very strongly that this soul had only 8 more months to live. And I was so lucky that I was the chosen one. And now it is liberated, it is at peace, it is one at the lotus feet of the Lord. And I was full of gratitude. So that was one very big point that I realized, that spirituality plays a very important role in our lives because it can change your thinking. What does my topic say? Spirituality and ESP, positivity in cancer. So it is up to us whether we look at whatever that is happening to us positively or negatively. And if we look at it positively, we are able to overcome it. We are able to look at it in a way that, okay, I've been diagnosed with cancer. What are the other things to do? I have to have a surgery, after which I have to have chemotherapy, after which I have to go through radiation. And yes, I'll do it one by one by one. And I will not do it fighting with it and feeling upset and why me? I will do with the fact that this is a test and I will face it, I will overcome it, I will conquer it, and that is my belief. We'll carry on to the next point. 3 years later, I was pregnant with twins. And my blood pressure, by the way, was 270 by 140. And they rushed me to the hospital. I was in a nursing home from the 4th of June to the 5th of July, 1990. And I was expecting the babies on the 9th of September. But because of my high blood pressure, they started me on Depin and Aldomet. And yes, my diet was boiled, saltless food. And every hour, on the hour, the doctors and the nurses would come day or night to feel the fetal heartbeats. How are they doing? Under observation. And guess what? After the nursing home, which is the Elizabeth Nursing Home in Bombay, when I suddenly went into labor on the 5th of July, we were rushed to Breach Candy and a cesarean was done. The twins were put into 2 incubators and rushed to Jaslok. This is all in Bombay because at that point, Breach Candy didn't have a neonatal clinic. And I followed 5 days later. And after about 26 days, we went home. My mother had set up in my sister's house a very beautiful, preemie room where no one was allowed except her, I, and 2 professional nurses. In fact, even my father and the other members of my family did not even touch the babies. My nieces would open the door and just peep in and see them. No one was allowed in because not only was the immunity of the twins very low, my immunity was very low also because I hadn't been out. So on the 40th day, we had a small little get together where there were only 5-6 women, family members who had gathered together to pray for the welfare of the twins and I. Now, what happened is that I could have got an infection from any of the people who were there. And my fever shot up to 105. So the different members of the family were given different tasks. My mother's job was to sit near my face and keep slapping it. Why? Because if you have a high temperature and you fall asleep, it is likely that you can get into a coma. So she kept slapping my face. And what did they do? They made me lie down on the side of my body. 3 buildings gave all their ice to us so that huge towels could be put into buckets and squeezed. And instead of just having a cold compress on the head or the neck or the hands or the feet, it was my whole body that was being smashed, or should I say, these towels were slung into my body. Now, Annie, what do you think would happen? That I am hot with fever and the cold towels are hitting my body and I would scream. Now, I had 2, because they were twins, I had 2 gynecologists, 2 pediatricians, 2 of everything outside. All the doctors were there. And there was a little squabble. The pediatrician said, the children have to be with the mother. The gynecologist said, they should be separated so that they, when they're being fed the milk, the infection doesn't go from the mother to the children. So they should be in another room. In all this, every time the towels were kept to my body, I would shriek. I would shriek and my children would scream. So imagine, every time this happened, what it did to my heart. Spirituality. What thought came into my mind? In spite of that feverish feeling, I said that there are so many masters, spiritual leaders from our country, from the world, in fact, where they say that I am not the body. I am the soul, and the soul feels nothing. Do you know what I started doing? I started psyching myself. I I'm not the body. I'm the soul, and the soul feels nothing. I am not the body. I am the soul, and the soul feels nothing. And guess what happened? I stopped shrieking. I stopped screaming because I didn't feel anything. Now, for me, that was good. For my children, that was good because I stopped screaming. The children stopped screaming also. But my mother didn't take it in that light. She kept slapping my face harder. And her tears, hot tears were falling on my face. And she said, she took my name. What's the matter? What's happening? Take care. What can I do? Don't go. You can't leave. I opened my mouth. Now, I didn't have the energy to explain to her that, Mom, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. But I have just psyched myself into believing that I am not the body. I'm the soul, and the soul feels nothing. So I opened my mouth and I said, I am not the body. I am the soul, and the soul feels nothing. Now, what do you think my poor mother felt about that? She started weeping. She thought that I was saying goodbye, that I was saying fond farewell, and I was going to go away up into another realm. And she wept and she cried. But the fact is that gradually, with all the doctors, one of them came with an injection and the fever left me. I was carried by 5, 6 people right into the bathroom, made to sit on a stool, and the shower was kept on. But what a relief. What a relief that we have, if we have the faith, if we have the knowledge, and we have the power of self-belief, and we have these stories to uplift us. Imagine, we can go from place to place. So these are 2 of the stories that I wanted to share with you on spirituality. Now you say, what about ESP? So we were living in London. Now I want to say that if the space in your mind is that you believe in God, that you have faith in God, then miracles are about to happen. They always do. My twins are called the miracle babies. You know, they call the precious pregnancy. Why? Because against so many odds, they are still there, 31 now, instead of 7, when I was diagnosed with cancer the first time, and instead of 14, when I was diagnosed with cancer the second time. And in 2018, I had septicemia 3 times, where I had to have 210 injections in the jugular because my arms are not allowed because of breast cancer. I cannot have either insertion of medicine or withdrawal of blood. And from 2004, all the insertion of medicines has been done through the veins in my toes, my feet. And all the withdrawal of blood has been done. And those just gave up. They just gave up. My veins in my feet stopped working. So they had no choice but to puncture here frequently so that they could give me the IV from the jugular vein. So when I was in London, and I'm talking about the early 80s, when you are alert, vibrations reach you. In the good old days, we never had telephones or we never had cell phones. But how did people communicate? With telepathy. Suddenly, if I'm thinking of Annie and she rings up, hey, Annie, I was thinking of you. She says, really? I feel like talking to you. And I said, that must have been because I've been thinking of you. How did she get to know? My thoughts reached from Chennai to Kerala, and she was able to pick them up. So this is what I mean about extrasensory perception. I'm sitting in London, and suddenly I wake up from a nightmare. And what is the nightmare? My father had retired from the Indian Navy, and my parents and my sister and my in-laws, they're all in Mumbai. And I visualized my father standing in a hospital called Ashwini, outside a room in his kurta pajama, and I could hear the waves of the sea. And the thought in my mind was, he's there for a surgery. So I quickly rang up Bombay and I spoke to my sister. She picked up the phone. And I said, where's Papa? She said, why do you ask? I said, I had this horrible nightmare. And she says, oh God, you and your nightmares and your... She says, so dramatic, but I'll call him. So you know what she did? She called him, he came, I had a chat with him, he put down the phone. For the next 16 days, 15, 16 days, if I would say, where's Papa? Or he's taken the dog for a walk, or he's in a business meeting, or he's gone out. 16th day, my father rang me up. And this is what he said, Annie. He said that the day you called me, I was in the car with my bag packed to go to the hospital for a gallbladder surgery. Now, sitting in London, there was no one to whisper, hey, no little birdie to tell me. Guess what? It was such a vivid thought, as if it was actually happening. And if you are sensitive to vibrations, to feelings of others, you're connected. Because basically, in life, we are all one. Each of us is connected to God. And therefore, through that, we are connected to each other. And especially with your own family members, with people you're very close to, there is that little extra thing that makes you even aware of how they are functioning. So that was one. He said, I was in the car with my bag packed, going to the hospital for a surgery. We didn't want to worry you, which is why we didn't let you know, but you knew. Yes, I knew. I knew because there are forces in the world around us that are so, so different. Not just the ordinary communication. It is a soul-to-soul connect. So that was one thing that happened. A little later, that same year actually, we got to know that my aunt was diagnosed with blood cancer. So I left there on the 25th of December in 1982. I came to India and I lived with my aunt right up till the 27th or 28th of February, 83. Was very close to her, my mother's youngest sister, only 5 years older than me, married to my father's youngest brother. So you can quite imagine the connect, the bonding, the love that we shared. We were more like schoolmates or friends. We were not like aunt and niece. So I was with her through her chemos, through her various blood transfusions, everything. I went back on the 27th or 28th of February, and On the 6th of March, I suddenly woke up with this dreadful feeling that I am dying. And bit by bit of my body, my organs started shutting. I could see my father, I could see my mother, I could see my uncle, I could see my sister, her husband. They were all gathered, my aunts and uncles' two sons. Everyone was around. My grandparents were there. I could see the cylinder, the oxygen cylinder there. And then suddenly I found myself going towards this tunnel with the light at the end of it. And the last thing that left me was my hearing. So I woke up and I quickly wrote it down. I have been writing poetry since I was 13, no, much earlier. 13 was when I started writing stories. But poetry I was writing, I think, since maybe 6 or 7 years of age. So I wrote this down, this entire experience. And when I came back to India, I just mentioned it to my sister and my brother-in-law. And I showed them this paper. And they were stunned because they said that this is exactly how she went. And it had happened exactly at the same time that I had gone through this in another country, across the oceans, while it was happening to her. So I think that these things really go a long way in making us aware that we're all in this together, that we're all interconnected, that we are all linked to each other, that we are all one. Don't we say that when babies cry any part of the world, whether it's Japan, America, India, the baby sounds the same. And when it laughs, the gurgling of a baby sounds the same. So aren't we all the same? When we get hurt and we bleed, it's all the same. When we get hurt in our heart, we feel sorrow, we feel pain at what is happening in the world. We're all the same. We cry the same tears. We feel the same feelings, maybe different languages. But then love, compassion, surrender, these are words that don't need a language. They're feelings that are the very core of our being. And we all feel the same thing every day. Imagine what a lovely world it would be if we could just hold each other in our hearts and feel that we are all the same. And there would be peace and harmony all over. So when we start believing in these things, and when we put our thoughts together, based a lot on our feelings for God, for spirituality, then there is a lot of positivity in our lives. And that is how we can overcome cancer. Do you know what the first thought? I have about 20 positive thoughts. My first thought is, I am secure, confident, and relaxed in Divine Almighty, who heals and strengthens my body, mind, and soul. Now, whether it is Allah, whether it is Shiva, whether it is Rama, Jesus, Buddha, any god, any deity, any holy book, the element, if you just think of them and say this, I am secure, I am confident, I am relaxed in someone or something that I believe in. And what does that belief do? What is that person, that God, that deity, that goddess do? Heals. Not only heals, but strengthens my what? Body, mind, and soul. So what is left? I'm whole and complete. And look at the amount of power. Look at the amount of positivity that this gives you. Next thought, for instance, is every day, in every way, I am better and better and better. May I be safe from inner and outer harm. May I be happy and peaceful. May I be healthy and strong. May I take care of myself with joy. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I thank you, God. It is so swell that every little cell in my body is happy and well. So when one is surrounded by all these positive things, then there is no choice but to move on, to overcome any adversity. I counsel patients, but not only cancer patients. The counseling goes for everything. You don't have to be suffering from cancer alone. You could have failed in an exam. You could have had love failure. You could have had gone through anything. But the fact of the matter is that if you have faith, live just one day at a time. And if you are positive, what do? You attract positivity towards you. Laughter is the best medicine. And you know what my 2 mantras are? God is great. And this too shall pass. I wrote a book. I wrote a book called I Inspire. And it is about how, from the time I was a little girl, certain things started happening that made me so positive, that made me feel that, yes, I have been made for a purpose. That purpose is to help people. And then the more things that I went through, I realized that I would love to write about my experiences, because physically, I am talking to the patients I'm counseling. But life makes all of us go through things. And the amount I've gone through, if I put it down, then anyone who's gone through death of a child, of a patient, a parent, some disease, broken bones, tragedy, trauma, they can all learn. There are people who have read my book just prior to going in for something, and they feel so empowered, they feel so positive, they feel so encouraged. Because at every point I say that if I can do it, so can you. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I was told that you have only 25% chances of survival, and not in India. You'll have to go to France or to America, because that is where they had started in 98 stem cell research. And I wept for 3 days. Why? I wept because I had 7-year-old twins, and I didn't want to leave them alone. And suddenly, here comes another point of spirituality. Suddenly, I had this feeling, did God come down? Did God wag his finger at me and say, guess what, you're gonna die? Or you better start counting, your days are numbered, so you better start counting backwards. No. I wiped my tears. No more tears. And I said, I am going to live for my twins. And that is another thing. I realized that I had a goal to live towards. So the first thing I do is I talk to my patients. I talk to the people I counsel. And we work out goals. Because it is those goals that keep us going. Of course, the three things I always tell them is, one, think of cancer as only a word. Nothing more, nothing less. So that if something happens to you, it's not the fear that kills you. Mostly, if you have 10 people in the same stage of cancer, the same medication, everything the same, what is different? Why would 3 immediately pass on? It wasn't cancer that killed them. It was the fear. And again, we have this lovely story from our holy books that if you are walking and you're scared and you see a rope, your traumatized mind will think of it not as a rope, but as a snake. Whereas if you're not scared, you'll go ahead and you'll kick it. And you'll kick it because you know it is a rope, not a snake. So what is fear? False emotions appearing real, or fantasized experiences appearing real. So it's not real. The fear is not real. And when I put my thoughts together, I realized that my life had been a series of learnings for me. I learned certain things, and I put those treasures together, and I'm going to share them with you. My first treasure is love. Love makes the world go round. Love helps you overcome your problems. Love keeps you hopeful, encouraged, and warm. The second is fun and laughter. Never leave that child behind. I still have so much of laughter, so much of fun, because the inner child in me says, come on, okay, I can't climb a wall or I can't climb a tree, but I can run after butterflies. I can do so many things. I can jump into water. I can listen to the waves. I can see the rustling of the trees, the nature, the elements. So fun and laughter. Third is God. If you believe in God and you have him, her, as a pillar of strength, you automatically have rocks of Gibraltar with your family and your friends also. And if you believe in God, guess what the next treasure is? Faith. You have faith in God, and the treasure after that is miracles happen. All kinds of miracles, which you wouldn't think possible. But you know about the law of attraction, that if you think of something, what do they say? That the entire universe conspires together to give it to you. So have happy, positive thoughts, and so it shall be. Death is also a treasure. Because what does death teach you? It teaches you acceptance. And when you accept whatever it is in your life, what happens is that you realize that there is a lot of things that you need to be grateful for. Shukrana, gratitude, attitude of gratitude. And when you start living out of that, being thankful for being alive, being thankful for having food on your table, being thankful that you've gone through so much and you're still alive to tell the tale. Be thankful of the love, the affection, everything that surrounds you. Then abundance comes your way. And when you are abundant in all the feelings, which means that you are content, you are satisfied, and then you can live in the now. There is nothing better than living in the now. And I'll tell you one thing, that all of us people, all of us who have gone through cancer, I always tell them that, see, if anyone in your locality is going to be diagnosed, the first thing they'll do is come to you. And you will be like a beacon of light, of hope. And you will be able to guide them. Yes, you can go to this hospital, go to this doctor. This is what surgery is. You get a good margin around your tumor. You can get it cut. You can get it removed. You are cured. Then you go through chemotherapy. And then people would ask me, well, if I've had a surgery and you say I'm cured, why should I have chemotherapy? So I said, well, in case some of those naughty cells have traveled into your bloodstream, the chemo goes through that very bloodstream and destroys the bad cells that might have escaped into your bloodstream. Okay, then what is the need for radiation? Well, the bed of the tumor, once it has been surgically removed, is radiated to ensure that no cells have escaped there. So I say, when you give someone a present, do you just buy the gift and give it to them? No, you buy the gift, you put it in a box, you wrap it up, you put the ribbon. So those are the stages of your surgery, your chemotherapy, and your radiation. And that completes the picture. So imagine, we all have a mission in life. And that is that if anyone who's going through what we are going through, and we can be their guiding star, that is what is absolutely wonderful. Imagine, I think the amount of satisfaction that I have received just helping people, the happiness that I have received when someone comes to me like this, not wanting to be helped, resisting, resenting, and I start talking. And the next thing you know is they're looking at me and they want to know more. And they say, really? And you know what my last words to them are? Quickly get over your treatment and come and help me. Help me pass the word, the good word. And like I have given you ideas, you give these ideas to other people who are going to be diagnosed and are going to get out of it with your help. So imagine the whole world, ripple after ripple of positivity would go all over the world and be able to spread that this too is curable. This too can be conquered. This too shall come to pass, and we shall overcome. So, Annie, I'm just looking at the time. How much time can I keep talking? Tell me that, because I can talk forever.
I think it's almost time, but you can talk for 5 more minutes. That's fine, ma'am.
Okay, and you could tell me if there are any questions that anyone would like to ask me, and I can take it off.
I think if anyone want to share the insights on the session, that would be great. Mehulji, I'm pretty sure that you like the session. So if you want to share some insights.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Neerja ji, for sharing your story. Very inspiring. I'm in the US, and 4:30 in the morning, I'm up to listen to you.
Good
And,
morning. Good morning.
good morning. Thank you. And I've been through cancer. I'm a stage 4 throat cancer survivor. I could relate all those thoughts and feelings that you were talking about, because I believe in power of attraction a lot. I believe in and that strength that you can hold on and miracles to happen. So thank you so much for all that you said, and I'm pretty sure that all the people who listen to this will take a lot of some good things from all these conversations that we have. And I'm glad I got to meet you and talk to you. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad that you woke up early. I'm feeling very honored that you actually took the effort, and here you are. Thank you so much. Now, one more point I want to share with everyone. I'm so happy that I've heard from you. I'm so happy that we have shared this feeling. Now look at the strength and the happiness that I get just talking to you or listening to your story. Now, if all of us felt like that, imagine the amount of peace and harmony that we could spread all over the world. And it makes no difference whether it's 4:30 in the morning or it's 4:30 in the evening. But the fact of the matter is we're connected. And
Yeah,
voila.
and that's a part of attraction, because before I went to sleep, I was thinking, hey, I have to wake up 4:30. My alarm is up at 5. But 4 o'clock I was up. Hey, I'm still in time, and I quickly washed my face, and I'm here sitting listening to you. So power of attraction was working all night in my head. I need to get up, I need to talk.
Oh, this
Thank
is
you.
wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing this with me. Thank you, Ji. God bless you. God bless your family. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone listening in and who will listen in and will share my warmth and my feelings of love and affection. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Neerja ma'am, for such a wonderful session. And Merry Christmas, everyone. So
Yes, I
I'll
love the
see you
tree
all guys
behind
next
you.
week.
I love the tree behind you.
Yeah, that's a new thing I recently found out, that I can do this thing in Zoom. No,
Right. But it looks beautiful. You look beautiful, and everyone, God bless you. And may the best of everything happen to each and every one of us. And we can just look forward to a fantastically new, happy, healthy, and safe new year and the future ahead. God bless. Thank you so much, Annie. Thank you.
thank you. Thanks, everyone.